So again, my name is Kelly Jacoby, Community Relations Specialist here at Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities. We are recording today's session, so you will be able to reference that back at a later date if you would like. We will have time for questions at the end of the webinar, so please utilize our Q&A box in the Zoom webinar control panel for any questions that you might have. We are also streaming live on Facebook, so please utilize the chat and the comment feature on Facebook. We'll be monitoring that throughout the presentation. Again, welcoming you to our first webinar of DD Awareness Month here at Delaware County Board. We have May We Help with us today. So we are excited that Bree Wilkerson has been able to join us. Bree is the program director with May We Help, which is a nonprofit organization that creates custom solutions for individuals with special needs. Bree, I'll go ahead and pass it over to you and let you kind of go through a little bit more about yourself and some more information about May We Help. Thanks for joining us today.
All right, awesome. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be able to share all the good things that we do and see how we might be able to help people in your area. So let me get my screen popped up here. All righty. So May We Help is as Kelly said, I'm Bree Wilkerson and I am the program director at May We Help. Been with May We Help for about 7 years and been working in the field of disabilities pretty much my whole career, so about 20 plus years. Just have a real passion for my job at May We Help and being able to get people the things they need to be independent with daily living and to enjoy recreation and leisure activities. And that's mainly what we do. So we're located in Cincinnati, Ohio, is our home base. We are a volunteer organization. So the majority of the work that is done by our volunteers. We have a very small staff that supports those volunteers and being able to create custom solutions for people. And then in addition to those custom solutions, we've added a couple other pieces to our programming in the past several years. So I will go over all of that. But our main thing with May We Help is to create custom solutions for people that aren't available on the marketplace. So we're looking at creating really individualized things that help people, as I mentioned, to be more independent with their daily living or to just enjoy recreation and leisure things. So things like art and music and sports and things like that is what we're mainly creating devices for. So if someone has a disability that makes it hard for them to bat a ball, but they really want to be able to play baseball, we're going to create something custom for them to be able to do that. And I have some examples of actually a device just like that we've created. So as I mentioned, we're a team of volunteers. So our team is made up of all different skill sets that really come together to make these solutions. So we have inventors, engineers, designers, artisans, seamstresses, doctors, physical therapist, occupational therapist. It really takes a lot of different skill sets to come together and make these designs. So we're building these things from scratch, designing them, prototyping them, and then getting them out to the people that need them. We typically try not to do things that are available on the marketplace and stick to things that we're designing, like I said, custom for that person. However, the market is saturated with things out there that that are useful, and so sometimes, but they're kind of made more for the masses, and so May We Help is going to individualize that a little bit more. So sometimes we may find something that's a good base product to start with, and then we'll adapt that for the person. Oh, all right. All right, so we do have a large workshop at our space that is available for our volunteers to work in. So I just wanted to share a little picture of that. We like to think of it as a maker space with a mission. And we have a workshop manager who helps our volunteers learn the equipment and things like that, and brainstorm on project designs and things like that. So we have this available to our volunteers every day of the week. So this just gives an idea of some of the solutions. Like I said, I'm going to show some pictures to illustrate it a little bit better, but we do things like mobility devices, eating and drinking aids, bathroom aids, learning and communication tools, physical and occupational therapy aids, furniture, hobbies, arts, toys. We do switch adapted toys, outdoor recreational devices, and we really help anybody that is struggling and has a challenge, but they just need a little something, a little device or a solution to help them to be able to get past that and participate in the activities that they enjoy. And we do work across the lifespan. We serve more children than adults, but we will serve anybody who needs our services, essentially. So I'm going to go through a series of photos here that kind of illustrate some of the different solutions that we create. Our solutions do range from more complex things to really simple solutions. And you'll kind of get an idea of that as we go through some of the devices that we've created. This would be a little bit more of a complex design. So this little girl was getting ready to go to kindergarten and was needing something that would get her around the classroom at the same height level as her peers. And so we call it a zigzag chair. We created this little chair for her that simulates a power chair, but is just the right size for her. And took the electrical components and a base from a commercially available product and put it all together to create this little power chair for her. So I mentioned that we do a lot of hobby related, recreational and leisure related things. This was a young lady who wanted to be able to play the cello. She doesn't have any arms, but she needed a way to hold the cello itself and hold the bow. And so our volunteers created this base here that holds the cello in place at just the right angle for her. And then adapted the bow so that it would fit between the toes so that she could play with precision that she needed. And she actually has been, here's a picture of her here. She's been with May We Help for a long time. She got her first solution from us when she was just about 8 or 9 years old, I think, and now she's off at college, and we still keep in touch with her and create things for her as needed. But she didn't just learn to play the cello. She was ranked the number 11th cello player in the state of Pennsylvania. So that's a pretty cool thing. This is an example of what we call our sky arm. And this device allows individuals who maybe don't have a lot of movement in their arm or their hand, but do in their shoulder. And it cradles the arm so that they can use the momentum with their shoulder to participate in drawing arts and crafts kind of activities. This was specific for this young lady who wanted to participate in her school's art class. And so you can see here that it has the sling that comes over top, cradles her arm so that she can grasp the pencil and then, like I said, use the momentum of her shoulder to be able to do the drawing activities. This was a family in California, actually, that we created this device for. They are close to the beach, and their son has a lot of equipment that helps to keep him alive, as well as needs to be in this, sort of position where he's laid down. So they were taking him to the beach using a snow sled, and that's a picture of him there on that sled. And they were pulling 2 sleds, so one for him and then one for all of the equipment he needs. And if you can imagine going to the beach, first of all, he's down really low to the sand. The sand's kind of splashing up on him. And second of all, he really can't enjoy the view of the ocean. And so the family needed a better solution. And so this beach buggy here was created to actually just hold his original chair that he really needs to be sitting in. You can see that finalized picture there. It's really cool because it comes apart and then gets put back together in about 5 minutes so that it's compact and the family can travel with it, and allows him to be at the right height for enjoying the ocean, and also having all of his medical equipment with him. This smiley guy here, he lives with his two sisters and his mom, and he just wanted to be able to control the TV. Isn't able to hold a traditional TV remote, and so the volunteers created this push button remote here that he can barely tap the on and off switch to turn the TV on and off, and then tap another button to surf the channels. As you can tell, he's pretty happy about it. We call it a fishing magician. I know we've got lots of fun, silly names for the devices that we create. This young man wanted to be able to fish with his friends, isn't able to hold or cast the fishing pole. So they created this device here that attached to his chair and used an air compressor and a push button to be able to allow him to push the button, and it will actually cast out, drop sinker, and then with another push of a button, he can reel in if he gets a catch. We do lots of bike modifications each year. Some we do to already adapted bikes, and some we, adapt a bike ourselves. So that is, I think we did, 50 plus maybe bike modifications last year. So it's one thing that we feel like we're able to help a lot with. It's a childhood pastime, and I think it's fun to get people out there, get kids out there riding their bikes with their peers. And here's an adult actually that we helped with a bike modification as well. He wanted to be able to ride a bike with his daughter when she got to that age. And so the final product is not here, but they essentially built up these handlebars so that they were at the level of where his arm stopped so that he could lean over and steer the bike that way. We do modify already existing equipment. So this young lady wanted to be able to go use her gait trainer to navigate around her backyard and her pool, but also when she goes to parks and whatnot. And so the volunteers took her traditional wheels. They made them actually interchangeable, so that she could use her traditional wheels when she needed to, but then these caster wheels that would allow her to be able to navigate, like I said, parks and playgrounds and things like that. We do quite a bit of these Go Baby Goes is what they're called, where we use a big red switch and rewire the cars themselves to be able to be activated with a switch. And so then this gets the child out with their peers, but also there's a cause and effect piece to this that teaches young children that when they push the button, the car moves, and when they let go, it stops. And they use these a lot to prepare children for eventually being eligible to get a power chair. So it's kind of a learning tool for therapy, but also just a fun recreational thing for the kiddo as well. May We Help typically does one of a kind products. So like I said, mentioned before, we're building for an individual. And so we're making it really specific for that person. Some of the devices I've shown have actually had more than one request once it's seen, and we will do that. This sensory chair though was something way different. Let's say it just kind of went viral. And so it was made for this young man for when we first started. But then it was shown on Facebook and actually on the news. And so we've started to get a lot of requests for this. And I think this number is even higher. To this date, we've placed about 400 of these chairs. And so it's a rocking chair that provides a little deep pressure when the person sits in. And then there's a screen that comes over the top that allows for some of that visual stimuli to be blocked out. A lot of the works really well with kiddos and adults and adolescents with sensory processing or autism, but we've also found that it works for like complex trauma needs as well, because it sort of re-regulates, gives us a break, re-regulates the sensory system, and it's been used in a lot of schools for kind of a calm down area, and then the kids can re-engage in the activities. I referenced this at the beginning. This is called our Batter Up. And we have actually made several different iterations of this. So this was our original prototype. But the idea here is that a child who cannot hold a bat but is playing baseball can either pull a string or push a button, and the bat will then they can bat the ball. And it's, you know, a lot of these folks are getting support already with getting around the bases and different things like that. And so to be able to make, you know, that ball that's soaring through the sky their own versus someone else doing it for them has made a huge impact on a lot of the kiddos that are playing baseball in some of the miracle leagues and whatnot. We work a lot with the Joe Nuxall Miracle League here in Cincinnati, and they use our batting machine on a regular basis. This was a young lady who wanted to be able to ride her horse, and she just needed some positioning support to be able to do so. And so we created this harness here that you see around her legs and around her chest that held her onto the saddle. This is a adaptive putter, so similar to the fishing magician and the batter up. We created this adaptive putter here that is also run with a button, and it allows individuals to be able to play putt-putt or golf. This one was specifically designed for the Joe Nuxall Miracle League that I referenced. They put in a fully adapted putt-putt course, and so they needed something to support with, you know, the putters for those who couldn't swing a traditional club. And so they have a couple of these out at that course. So May We Help was originally founded to do all of the things that we're talking about. So those custom solutions, that was our original goal of the founders. And that's what we were doing up until about 2018. And then we started to see some other needs in the community that we felt like could add some fun, but also that were needed and weren't being met. And so we've added about 4 other programs to our services that like I said, our Halloween festival is kind of just kind of a fun recreational thing. But anyway, I'm going to go through all of these. I think the adaptive equipment swap probably captures the attention of most people. But let me go through each of these kind of programs one by one. So we have an adaptive equipment swap, and we're actually changing the name because it's a little deceiving. We do not require a piece of equipment to be swapped in order for someone to take home a piece of equipment. But the idea is that we take in used equipment that people no longer need, and we get it cleaned up and fixed up and back out to people who need it for totally free of cost. So this program grew faster than we ever expected it to, and we have probably matched. This one says 600 people. We just had a swap last weekend and put out 100 pieces of equipment, so it's well over 600 people at this point. We have a large sort of warehouse in our space that houses equipment, and we fulfill individual requests on a regular basis. That we have then we have 2 events per month where people can come in and do sort of an open shop for the equipment that they need. We don't just let people come in and take whatever they want. We actually have physical therapists that are on site to be able to support people in making sure that they get the right type and the right fit of equipment for them. And then, as you can see here, there's one of our physical therapists is actually fitting this piece of equipment to this child. So just making sure that it's exactly what they need before they walk out the door. And then we have our modification experts, which are our volunteers that build our custom solutions on site to make repairs and modifications as needed. So our goal is really people come and find the equipment they need, make sure it's the right thing for them, and make sure it has everything they need before they walk out the door. We also have an annual Halloween event where we create costumes for children or adults in wheelchairs. And we have this really fun kickoff where we meet with the families and the kids, and we decide what the costume of their dreams are. And then we have time for different volunteers to build those costumes. There's some examples here. And then the finale of that is we have a Halloween festival at our facility. It's actually typically outside, where we have adapted games. Last year we had a wheelchair obstacle course that the kids could go through, haunted house, like little obstacle course, haunted house thing, and music and food. It's just a really fun and festive and fully inclusive festival. And then we have our annual Tinker Toy Box, which is actually going to be turning into a year-round Tinker Toy Box, where we switch adapt toys for children. We provide the toy and the switch. And we have been doing this around the holiday times, but like I said, we're going to be opening up to have a year-round toy closet, so that if somebody needs a toy for other things, they can get access to that whenever they need. And all of that is free of cost as well. I do think I forgot to mention, actually, all the services Maybe Help provides, including our custom solutions, are free of cost. So that is what we get funded for, is to make things so that people don't have to endure the high cost of equipment and adapted toys and those custom solutions as well. Last year was our second SOAR Expo. So that is a disability expo of sorts here in Cincinnati, that we work with University of Cincinnati's physical medicine and rehab division, as well as the Bridge Adaptive Support Sports and Recreation, which is another nonprofit here in Cincinnati. And we have a large expo with the goal of having vendors there that provide interactive activities. So we do a lot of adaptive sports demonstrations, adaptive cooking, adaptive music. And so we have those service providers there that are providing information about how to get involved with those things, and then also allowing participants to try out different types of sports and adapted activities during that. So that will be coming up in September. That is a free event and it's open to the public. It is here in Cincinnati at Lunken Airport, and we just open up this huge space, like I said, and have all of these different activities available to folks. Okay, so now that you've kind of heard all of the different things that we do, you may be wondering, well, how do we request something? How do we get involved? And so I'm going to just run through our process, and I will have a chance to answer questions at the end. I know this is a lot of information, but basically all of our requests come through our website. So maywehelp.org, and there I'll actually go ahead and show you this here. So this is kind of what the top of our homepage looks like, and you're going to be looking for this big red request a solution button or equipment swap button. They actually both go to the same application. So you're going to click on that red dot there, and it will take you to our request form. It's a pretty brief request form, and anyone can fill it out for the individual. So maybe it's the parent, maybe it's the care provider, maybe it's the a case manager or a therapist. We do get a lot of requests from physical and occupational therapists on behalf of people. So anyone can fill that request out. That request comes to us, and we kind of look at it to make sure it's a viable solution. Our really only exclusionary criteria are we're looking at safety. Do we feel like from the first pass at looking at it, is it going to be something we can do safely? We do not build ramps, and we do not do any vehicle or house modifications. Outside of that, we're going to be looking to help the best that we can if we think it's something that we can do. And we try, and like I mentioned, we try not to recreate something that's already available commercially. So once that request comes in and we sort of take a look at it and make sure that we think it doesn't fall in our exclusionary criteria, then we put that out to our team of volunteers. We have about 150 volunteers that are looking at our project request every single day, and they have a lot of autonomy. So they're going on and they're looking for a project that meets their skill set and their interest. And then they're saying to us, hey, we want to take on that project. From there, after a volunteer team is identified, then we will hold what we call a discovery visit. So we will meet with the individual that we're creating for, as well as whoever else needs to be involved in that. So their care team, if needed, their parents, if that's all, their physical and occupational therapist, if they have that, we like to get them on board to make sure we're not creating anything that is contradictory to the therapy process and actually helps it instead. So we'll hold that discovery visit, really get to know the person, get to know what their strengths are, what their challenges are, and really what it is that they're wanting to be able to do and how we can support that. And then our volunteer team goes to work designing and building that solution in our workshop that I showed you. And then we deliver that solution. And if it is what was needed and meets all of the requirements and is usable and all of that, then we leave it and then it's good to go. If not, we may make some additional changes based on that that visit and that fitting and all of that. So that's pretty much the process on our end. We try to make it as easy as possible. We know that, people have busy lives and busy schedules and appointments and all of those things. So we try to meet the person where they're at. I know you all are closer, not in Cincinnati, so closer to Columbus. So that may look a little different how we would do the discovery visit. So if we can still be there in person, we would do that. But if not, with all the lovely technology of today, we can hold a meeting similar to what we're doing here, where we can still lay some eyes on and actually get some good dialogue going about what the needs are. So that's what would differ a little bit, I think, with you all not being in Cincinnati, if that makes sense. Alrighty. And this is just my last picture. So, questions?
Awesome, thank you. Let's see, we did have a question come through about the equipment swap that you had discussed a little bit. They asked about an email list, if there's a listserv that people can sign up for, or how do people get notifications about these events?
Yes. So, that's a great question, and we actually do not. So typically people are finding out information about us by following us on social or by having put in a request for something. We could certainly, if able, I can give my email and we can get you on into our mailing list. But we don't have a current function for signing up for just a mailing list, but that's a really great idea. So we should probably do that.
Awesome. Yeah, we can put your email in the chat, and we can always have staff follow up as well. We can get that information out.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I would say
My
from our
email would
point of
be
view,
great.
the Facebook page is where a lot of information is where we've seen.
Yes, our equipment swaps are typically on our Facebook page and on our let's see, on our website under this equipment swap button. We'll typically tell you when we accept donations and then when our events are.
Awesome. Looks like we do have a couple other questions coming in. We do have a watch party that's joining us, so it looks like we do have some questions coming in from them. What is the most common request that you see?
Not sure that I have an answer for that. More recently, it's been a lot of the adaptive equipment. We are just getting a lot of requests for gait trainers and adapted bikes and floor like activity chairs and things like that. I would say a common request is adaptive bikes. is probably one of our most common.
Let's see here. Do you take any clients that are from any state? I know you had mentioned California and Pennsylvania, and obviously we're here in Delaware County, which is just north of Columbus.
We do. Actually, we have delivered. I typically have a little map here that shows you all the states we've delivered to. Um, we will do our best to meet the needs wherever. The equipment, like some of the bigger equipment, is much harder to do. So our from the standpoint of our equipment program, we typically don't ship wheelchairs and standers and gait trainers and that kind of stuff because of the cost to do that. But for our custom solutions, we absolutely try to meet those needs. And interestingly enough, we've actually done a project in Palestine and two projects in England. So found out ways to do that as well.
That's awesome. Here's a fun one. What is your favorite project name?
Some of the names that I mentioned are, I think they're kind of funny and silly that we come up with, but I like the batter up probably.
A good one. You talked a little bit about funding, how to the client requesting the equipment is free. How are you guys funded? How are those funds allocated?
Yeah, great question. So we are actually funded through individual donors, grants, company and corporate sponsorship and donations that way. And then we have we have a golf tournament and we have a gala that are our fundraising events. We do not take any sort of insurance or waivers or Medicaid or anything like that. We really don't get any type of government funding. So it's all grants and donations.
Awesome. Looks like we have a couple more questions coming in here. Have you ever built any equipment that is specific to an office setting to help someone with employment?
Um, we have not, but that is we absolutely can. That is a great project for us actually. And we just last year started looking into that sort of space of, work environments and how to make a work environment more accessible for some of the people we work with. So if you have a need out there for making your work environment more accessible or having a different type of furniture or whatnot, we would definitely, that would be a great project for us. We would definitely take a look at that. I think I didn't say this within my presentation, but I always say if you're doing something with someone or yourself and you're like, if only I had, that's where we really step in, I think, and it can be a wild idea even. I mean, it doesn't have to be super practical. It can be like, a big wild idea. If only I had. That's a good time where you want to reach out to May We Help. You don't and you don't even have to know exactly what it is you need because that's what our volunteers are good at is figuring that out. You just need to be able to describe to us what you want to be able to do and what the challenge is with you doing that. And then we're going to, our team is going to go to work figuring out, well, what could we create for this person to help them navigate that?
And kind of piggybacking off of that, is there any type of request that would be considered too large or too small? Do you guys have any guidelines in regards to the request of the project?
No. No.
Awesome.
If it's like I said, it it has to be within reason. But if we're, and sometimes and we're assessing the cost of our projects, as we go. Typically, most things that we create are under $200 for material cost, and then our volunteer time, of course, is volunteer time. So that's how we're able to create so many things. But we will do things that require more funding, more money than that. But no, I think, the sky's the limit. Like, if you, like I said, if you have an idea of something you need, I don't think we don't have any parameters around the size of the project.
Looks like we have a question that has come in regarding the vehicle modifications. I know you mentioned you guys don't do those.
Yeah.
Do you have any referrals or suggestions where families can go if they need a vehicle modification?
I really do not. I wish that I did. We send most of our ramp modifications to people working cooperatively, and that's here in Cincinnati, and they do a lot of ramps for people. So we have a great, kind of referral relationship with them. But in terms of vehicles, I'm really not aware of anybody that does it. Now, when I say vehicle modifications, like we have done things to support people in their cars, but we're not going to, you know, we're not going to actually modify the vehicle, like change the seat around, change the steering wheel around, those kind of things. We have added things to help people reach their cup holder better, or we added a shade over a child with autism's chair. So we're all with a car, we're always really just assessing the safety and also like the placement of the airbags and those kind of things. And that's why we just really try to stay away from it in general, just for safety reasons. Um, but if you're thinking, oh, I need this in my car and it's not an actual modification to my vehicle, we would definitely assess that.
Looks like we have a couple more coming in here. Is there a limit for the amount of projects that one person can receive? I know you talked a little bit about as people have aged, they
Yep.
continue to come back to get different modifications.
Yep. Nope. There's no limit. We actually see a lot. We have great relationships with a lot of the people we serve because we see them over and over. And we see a lot of people that come back to our equipment swap, program, like they grow out of something or something breaks with some of the other equipment they have or whatnot. So no, there is no limit. We will help if we can.
Do you have a wait list? I guess piggybacking off of that question, is there a turnaround time allotted for each project, or what does that process look like?
Yeah. I would say there is definitely more of a lull in, um, or we don't have a wait list at all. For our equipment, it sometimes takes a little bit longer to get back with people than for our custom solutions. Um, but we're always trying to work as quickly as we can. For our custom solutions, if you put in a request, it may be a little while till you hear back. You'll get an immediate response that says, hey, we got your request and we're working on finding a volunteer. The lag time there would be finding a volunteer who identifies that project meets their skill set and interest. So sometimes it just requires the right kind of volunteer, and maybe they're not available, or they don't, a lot of different factors play into that. But that would be the lag time there. So we are generally trying to meet as many of the requirements of the project within 60 days, 90 days. But sometimes a project sits just a little bit longer because we're looking for the right volunteer to take it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the most challenging project that you guys have done?
That I do not know because I do not do the projects myself. So I am not sure what the most challenging would be.
You mentioned the Miracle League fields. Are you connected with the Columbus Miracle League here?
We are connected with Buddy Ball in Columbus. I have driven actually a batter up machine to the Buddy Ball fields myself. And so yes, we have connected with them, and I think there is a couple different teams that have our devices there in Columbus.
Very cool. Looks like we have one more. I'm checking our Facebook Live as well. Could you give a little bit of background information and maybe speak to how May We Help got started?
Yeah. So May We Help was started by three men by the name of Bill, which is kind of fun. And they each, one of them was an engineer, one of them had their own injection molding company, and I'm not sure what the third one originally did, but two of them were in a physical therapy together, and they were both talking about how they're creating things for people with disabilities in their lives. I think two of them had family members that they were working on creating things for. And so the therapist said, wow, I really need to connect you two. And then they were meeting, and our third bill was at the this is really a very drawn out story, but was at the company of the one bill why they were meeting, and they all just sort of met sort of happenstance. They were all in the right place at the right time. They met, they started talking about what they were each doing for people. And they said, hey, I think we're onto something here. Let's go grab a pizza and talk about this further. And they just decided to do it. And so it started off really small with just like a couple people they knew that they were doing it out of someone's garage. And then they got a little small building that they were working out of. And they just started recruiting more and more people that they knew that had different skill sets to join. And then in 2000, around 2010, we became an official nonprofit or 501c3 organization, and then we've just grown since then.
Awesome. You talked a little bit about the maker space, which is kind of that studio space where you have all the equipment and materials. Can you give us a little bit of information about what equipment's in there, or is everything created in the maker space? Is it built? Is some of it custom built at the home? Maybe just a little bit more about the process and what that looks like.
Yeah, so our workshop is equipped with a metalworking side and a woodworking side. So we have a CNC router, lots of all of the different types of saws and routers and sanders, and we have a lathe, we have a metal lathe, we have a welding section, we have a drill press. I mean, pretty much a lot of the heavy duty equipment we have available there. We have a tube bender, pipe bender, a metal shear. We have a whole room that wasn't in the picture of hand tools and different things like that. We do have 3D printing capabilities. We have a laser cutter and an electronics area too that we have lots of different things in. So our workshop is available to our volunteers to create whatever they need to in there, but some of our volunteers choose to work from their own workshops that they have at home or other spaces, and that's fine too. It's not a requirement for the solution to be built in our space. We just have it available so that everything people need is there to do the builds. And then if we need to, we will customize things on site. They would take if it requires them doing that, they would do that.
And the teams are able to have as much kind of input and discussion during that design meeting initially.
Yeah, and then throughout. So if something comes up where they're talking more about it or thinking more about it, they're in connection then with that volunteer, so there can be as much back and forth as needed throughout the design and build process. But we do like to involve people from the teams to give input, like I mentioned, particularly occupational and physical therapy.
Awesome. I'm just checking our Facebook Live. Looks like we're all set with questions there. And our Q&A, I think we've answered all the ones that have come through there. I'm going to go ahead actually and jump on and share our backdrop again. That kind of concludes our webinar today. I appreciate you, Bree, jumping on and giving us some information about May We Help. If you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to visit their website. Again, I'm going to share our screen here. We do have coming up next week a couple new webinars. We have obviously the Advocacy Day at the State House is going to be on the 12th. And then here you can join us back on a webinar on March 13th for the inclusion efforts at the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium. And then on the 14th, if you are local here in Columbus, we will be at the Delaware County Library for the Buddies Books and Bubbles story time. So please check out all of our efforts. We do have our website updated with everything that we have going on for Awareness Month. And again, Bree, thank you so much for joining us. That was wonderful. Great information about May We Help. We really appreciate that.
Thanks for having me, Kelly, and feel free to give out my email to anybody who may contact you after this that has additional questions.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys have a great afternoon. Thanks for joining us today.